Hi there, let's talk about trace table for Cambridge A-Level Computer Science Paper 2 exam. In this video, you will first learn what is a trace table, and then general rules and tips for a trace table, and finally, step-by-step guide on how to solve a trace table exam question. So we normally use trace table in a dry run testing. So what is dry run testing? It's the process of checking how an algorithm or program runs by recalling the values of variables in a trace table. And then what is a trace table? A trace table is a table with one column for each variable. It records how the value changed. And then I have some general guideline for you here. Of course, you don't have to follow the guideline strictly. This is just a recommendation. So the tip number 1 would be leave the cell blank for unchanged value, meaning that a blank cell means the previous value stay the same. So as long as there's no change in the value, we just leave the cell blank. And next, make an entry in a cell when an assignment happens. A value stays in a variable until it's replaced by a new value. So as long as we don't change the assignment, the value remains the same here. And then we have start a new row when the program moves to a new assignment step. So as long as we have new assignment, normally we will create a new row here. Of course, the fourth rule, which is start a new row for each iteration. So it can be either be loop or be case statement here. And then in each iteration, we will normally write multiple assignment of new values in one row. So based on this rule 3 here, we say that we have to do a new row for new assignment. But for rule 4 here, what I mean here is that, let's say we have a loop or have a case here, and inside the loop or the case statement, there are multiple updates. We will normally do all the updates in one single row instead of doing multiple rows here. So these are the general guidelines that I teach my students to follow when it comes to trace table. And let me give you some tips for trace table. So for trace table, I will normally add line numbers to every line of pseudocode, meaning that on top of existing pseudocode, I will add line number on the left here. And then next will be, I will add a column for line numbers in the trace table. Of course, this might look a bit confusing here, but let me just show you a very basic example here. So for example, I have this pseudocode here. And then I will use this tip here. I will add line numbers on the left first, meaning that, look at this here. I will add this line number 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's easier for us to track the trace table here. And then next, I will add a column for line numbers in the trace table, which means look at this table here. So look at this here. I have line number columns here, and I have X and Y. So as I say, this is definitely optional here, but it does help us when it comes to tracing the table here. And then next will be the first row here, which is line 1 and line 2. So this is the initial assignment. So for exam purpose, normally the initial assignment will just put everything in one single row. So we have X equal to 2 here, and then Y equal to 5 here. So X equal to 2, Y equal to 5 here. And then we have new assignment here, which is line 3 here. So line 3, X becomes 7 here because X plus Y is equal to 7 here. And then we have the final row here, which is line number 4 here, which is Y is equal to Y plus 1. So 5 plus 1 is equal to 6 here. This is just a very basic example of doing dry run using a trace table. And now let's look at more complicated exam example. Now let's look at this trace table exam example. So first of all, we have this pseudocode here. So some declaration, some while loop here. And then as I say, I will add a line number myself here. So line 1 all the way to line 18 here. And then let's look at the trace table here. So this is the trace table. So in the actual exam itself, normally they will just give you this column with all these definition here, meaning that these are all the variable used for this example here. And then I will add this line column myself. So this is not given in the exam. I added this so that's easier for us to track and for me to do this demo here. And now let's just go through step by step here. So first of all, let's go through line 1 to 8 here. So line 1 to 8 here, what does it do here? So line 1 all the way to 8 here. So these are all basically assignment here. So look at this here. I is equal to 2. So this is line 4 here. And then char 1, char 2, char 3, char 4 here. So D, T, H, R. So line 1 to line 8, we are just doing assignment. So as I say, normally we'll do all the assignment in one single row as the first row here. And then next, let's go through the following rows here. So we will start from this 9, 10, 11, 12 here, which is the loop here. So let's look at this here. So 9 here, while I is less than or equal to 4, so I is 2, so definitely we will just go into this while loop here. And then key is equal to char I here. So key is equal to char 2. So char 2 is what? It's going to be t here. And then j is equal to I minus 1. So 2 minus 1, we get 1 here. And then finally, we run to this line 12 here, which is another while loop here. So while j is more than or equal to 0. So right now, j is 1. So this fulfills this condition. And then chars j. So what is char j here? It's going to be chars and then 1 here. So chars 1 is going to be d here. So and chars, and basically this d, is it more than the key here? So does d more than t here? So for this comparison here, we are comparing in terms of alphabetical order. So does t come after t? No. Therefore d is actually less than t because d is before t. Therefore, this condition here, it doesn't fulfill this condition. It does fulfill this one here, this j more than or equal to 0, but it doesn't fulfill this one here. Therefore, we will exit the loop now, meaning that we will just go to 9, 10, 11, 12, but we won't be doing 13 and 14 and 15 here. We'll just, definitely we are doing 15 here, we're just going to end while here, and then we will just go to this 16 here. So for 16 here, we are doing this assignment here. Chars j plus 1 is equal to key here. So let's look at this here. So what is j? J is 1 here. So chars 2, so chars 2 is equal to key here. So meaning that this chars 2 here will be updated with the value of this key here. So t is equal to t. So no changes here. So for no change, we just gonna leave it blank for this row here. And then next, we'll just go to 17 here, which is this 3 here. So why 3? Because I is equal to I plus 1. So 2 plus 1 is equal to 3 here. So after running this line 17 here, we will come back up to this line 9 again, because right now it says that while I is less than or equal to 4, now I is just 3, meaning that we still fulfill this while condition here. And now let's look at this here. We run 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 in terms of loops here. Let's look at this here. We have 9, okay, we run this. And then 10, key is equal to chars I, which is key is equal to char 3. So what is char 3? It's going to be h here. So h will be the key here. And then j is I minus 1. So 3 minus 1 is equal to 2 here. And then while j is 1 equal to 0, yes it is. And chars j is more than key. So what is char j at the moment? So chars 2 at the moment is going to be t here. So does t more than h here? So right now it fulfills the condition because t comes after h in terms of alphabetical order. So we have to go into these loops here. So let's look at this here. We have like chars j plus 1 is equal to chars j. So what is chars j plus 1? J is 2 here. So chars 3 here, so this chars 3 will be updated with the value of chars j. So now h will be updated to the value of t here. And next we have j is equal to j minus 1 here. So right now we are updating this value here. Therefore we have to add a new row here, which is this 14 and 12 here. So why 14 and 12 here? First of all, j is equal to j minus 1. So become 1 here. And then we will go back to the while loop again and check, hey, is j more than or equal to 0? Yes, it is. And then does char j more than key? So what is char j? Char 1 is going to be d here. So is d more than h here? The answer is no, because d is before h in terms of alphabetical order. Therefore, we will exit this while loop and then come to this line 16 here. So char j plus 1 is equal to key here. So line 16 here, char j, what is j? It's going to be char 2 is equal to key here. So right now, char 2 here will be updated to h here. So right now, the value that we have is going to be d, h, and t here. And then next will be line 17 here. So it's going to be I is equal to I plus 1 here. So 3 plus 1 is equal to 4 here. Then does 4 still fulfill this while loop condition? Yes, it does fulfill, meaning that we have to go back to the top here and run the while loop again here. So therefore we will run 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 here. So let's look at this here. So first of all, 9, yes. So key is char I, which is char 4 here. So right now we are looking at this R here, char 4 here. And then j is I minus 1. So 4 minus 1 is equal to 3 here. As usual, we'll look at line 12 here. So while j is more than or equal to 0, so 3 is more than or equal to 0. And does char j more than key here? Let's look at this here. What is char j? char 3. So look at char and then 3 here. We have to look at the latest value, which is this t here. So we write t here. So does t more than r here? So t actually comes after the r here because q, r, s, t, yeah. T is definitely come out of the R here, meaning that we fulfill this condition here, and then we will go to line 13 here. So char j plus 1 is equal to char j. So j is going to be 3. So char 4 will be updated with this value t here. Therefore, char 4, so this will become t here. And then j is equal to j minus 1, so row again. So 3 minus 1 is equal to 2 here. And then n val here, because if you look at this here, we go back to the top here, look at this 12 here. While j is more than or equal to 0, yes, so right now j is 2. And then does char j more than t? So what is j now? J is 2 here. So char 2 here, which is this latest value, h here. So we put h here. Is h more than the key, which is r here? The answer is no. So we will exit this loop here and then come to line 16 here. And then for line 16, char j plus 1, which is char 3 here, is equal to key here. So what is key? Key is going to be r here. Therefore, char 3 here, this 3 here, will be updated with the value r here. So let's look at this here. So right now, 16, this char 3 here will be updated with this value r here. If you look at this right now, we have sorted the alphabet here, which is D, and then H, and then R, and then T in terms of alphabetical order. So this is the whole point of doing this pseudocode here. And lastly, if you look at this line 17 here, we have I is equal to I plus 1 here. So 4 will be updated to the value of 5 here. At the same time, we will run this line again here. So is I less than or equal to 4? No, it's not, because right now the value is 5 here. Therefore, we will run line 18 here to close the while loop here. So this is how you can solve a trace table question for your paper 2 exam here. Definitely, it might look a bit confusing at first, but if you follow my guideline in my previous slide, as well as using my line method here, you should be able to come up with the correct solution. At the same time, if you are revising for your Cambridge A-Level Computer Science Paper 2 exam, you should definitely check out my Paper 2 playlist here. Thank you, and I'll see you again then. Bye bye.